chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. As Dan mentioned a moment ago, we're at the end of a book of Torah. And these are the words that we say when we finish a book of Torah. We say, from strength to strength, let us be strengthened. As we conclude this book, the book of Numbers, and as I conclude my time here with all of you at Temple Israel, I am considering all that I have learned from this chapter, from this book, all I have been able to learn from your strengths that will further strengthen me as I move into my final year of Cantorial school and out into my cantorate. But before I get to tell you all how wonderful you are, let's hear a little Torah first. In this week's Torah portion, Matot Maseh, the Israelites have come to the edge of the Jordan River. They have completed a long journey through the wilderness. The entire generation that left Egypt, everyone except for Moses, Caleb, and Joshua have died. And the new generation is coming to leadership. At this critical juncture, the tribes of Gad and of Reuben look about at the lands that they have just helped to conquer and realize it is perfect for raising cattle. And so they come to Moses and to the elders and they say, this land that God has just conquered for us, it's good cattle country. We have lots of cattle. So if we have found favor in your eyes, let this land be given to us as an inheritance, and do not make us cross the Jordan. Moses gets furious. He accuses them of trying to shirk their duties to fight for the land, leaving their cousins to die in those battles. He accuses them of being just like the spies of their parents' generation who riled them up against crossing the Jordan and doomed all of them to die in the desert. The Gadites and the Reubenites hear that criticism, and they do something incredibly brave. They take it to heart. They come to Moses once again and offer to go ahead on the front lines and not to leave until every tribe receives their holdings, as long as they can first build cities and leave their babies and their wives and their livestock safely behind. Moses at first could not see what the Reubenites and the Gadites wanted or needed. And the Reubenites and the Gadites, when they made their request, did not realize how it would come across to Moses, who knew their history better than they did. Once they understood both needs, the Reubenites and the Gadites found a solution that would ensure that all of the tribes of Israel received appropriate inheritances. This is diversity at its best. Being able to create and maintain spaces where diversity of viewpoint and opinion can interact is an increasingly Herculean task today. But this congregation excels at it. Maybe you disagree, but I think that proves my point. Maybe you're afraid that the person sitting next to you, either here or at home, voted differently than you did, or prioritizes different values around Israel and Palestine. But you're both doing something that I think is incredibly brave. You're both prioritizing this community. Hopefully, you both feel seen and cared for by this incredible clergy team, and by each other as well. Both of you chose to spend Friday night bringing in Shabbat together in song and in prayer. Both of you will stand by each other as we surround our mourners at the end of this service. That is what makes Temple Israel so strong. But even more than ensuring that people with diverse opinions know they belong here, this congregation welcomes hearing those diverse needs. Reuben and Gad didn't quietly mumble or complain that they knew this land would be better than for their people without saying anything. They went and they stood before Moses and Eleazar the priest and all of the other chieftains of the tribes, and they shared what they saw that their leaders weren't seeing. In my time here, I have had a conversation with more than one past president who at some point had come to Rabbi Zecher with a problem that they could see that Temple Israel was not yet addressing. In those cases, thankfully, Rabbi Zecher did not respond like Moses, getting angry and accusing them of the worst intentions, but she did guide them to react like the Gadites and the Reubenites. She asked them to help her find a solution. In doing so, these critiques turned into a deeper connection to community, solutions to what had been unseen but hurtful problems, and new leadership that continues to bring Temple Israel from strength to strength. This willingness to receive feedback is not a passive trait here. I have seen it demonstrated at every level. Maybe you have too. Maybe you right now are seeing something that can change here, but you haven't said anything yet. I should warn you, if you bring it up, you might find yourself with stronger connections to the people sitting next to you, and maybe even a leadership role. Because like the Reubenites and Gadites, who volunteered to serve as shock troops, as chalutzim, to ensure that all of their cousins received their portions just as they had, this community shows up for each other, in the hard times and the good. You go to each other's homes for Shiva. You organize around food insecurity, making sandwiches and volunteering at La Colaborativa. You continue to mark each day and recognize each individual hostage who has not yet returned home since October 7th of 2023. The care that you have for each other, for the greater Boston community, and for people far beyond these boundaries is your greatest strength. So what have I taken away from my time here at Temple Israel? Maybe nothing groundbreaking. It's not that I didn't know that Jews disagree with each other. But there is a dedication here to building deeper connections to and among Temple Israel congregants. And I have observed clergy, administrative staff, every leader of this congregation keep it at the center of every conversation. And it has made a very deep impression on me. For me, this is the greatest gift of Jewish community, that we are obligated to be in loving relationship with people we do not agree with. It's the loving relationship part that feels the hardest these days. But it takes bravery to learn who the people are that you share community with. And it is truly hard to know, it is hard to truly love people if you don't know them. Our diversity, even our diversity of opinion, is our strength. There is so much that makes this place strong. I'm grateful to have been strengthened and challenged over these past 6 weeks. May we all go from strength to strength, and may we all be strengthened. Chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek.